one of the things I did was post in just a manual machinist group on Facebook. And
Mhm.
from there, a purchasing person at that company out in Kansas randomly picked me up, my information, sent me an email. And at first, I thought it was spam. Honestly, I didn't really believe it because they were having me sign an NDA. And I'm like, I have trouble believing this. I just wasn't expecting it. And it
Sure.
turned out to be totally real. And so just advertising on the Facebook group was awesome.
Today we are doing our Gen CNC series featuring up and coming shop founders and owners, and we have a good one today. And I'm particularly excited about this one uh, because this is, as I was saying, the battle royale for King of the Hill.
That's right.
Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, in the left corner, we have Mike Payne with Hill Manufacturing. In the right corner, we have Leighton Hill from Hillco. Let's go. So, Leighton, maybe that's
What's
the
up,
intro.
Leighton?
Welcome to the
Sounds
show.
great. Well, glad to be on here. It's I haven't done many podcasts before, and so this will be a cool experiment or cool experience overall, and can't wait to go through it all.
Awesome. So, Mike, why don't you tell a little bit of the story of meeting him at
Yeah,
in
so
December there? Yeah, bombastic.
yeah, we were yeah, so Leighton had come to Boombastic. I know Jen and Dustin met him, and I actually met your mom. I don't remember if you and I talked, but I did run into your mom somewhere, like maybe in the lunch line. I don't remember.
Mhm.
Um, and she told a little bit of your story, and so yeah, it was good. That was a great show, and um, yeah, there was a lot of people in Gen CNC, I would say, at that show. I was certainly
Love it.
old at the show.
You were bending the curve in the wrong direction.
Right, right.
Well, if I was there, I would have bent it with you.
Yeah, it
But yeah, I am sorry I missed that. That sounded like a blast.
was a good week.
So let's Leighton, let's hear about Hillco. Let's hear about your passion for machining. How did you even learn about machining? How did you decide to start a shop? Let's get into all of that.
Okay, yeah. So this is really all everything started based around my dad, just because what he did. We used to live down in Southeast Kansas. We've since moved to Missouri, but what he did down there, he was a plant manager at a place that made actually like pizza ovens and printing presses for shirts. So kind of an odd little deal, but that's what they did. And so they had machine shops there. And as him doing that, he kind of just started getting into the machine side of things at home. And we had a shop there, and so he got a lathe and a mill, and slowly worked up. And that's really where it all started. I was 6, 7 years old at the time when I started kind of getting out in the shop more and running. Starting off just little Craftsman lathe we had. It was like a, I don't know, 4 by 20, one of those really old tiny Craftsman lathes, but I
Yeah.
loved it. It was my favorite thing. I'd go out there, I'd just be turning wood on it for no reason, and it was just fun, and so that's what I enjoyed. And then, as I got older, I started to actually get up to where I was making little parts and stuff on, proper machines, and none of it's ever really been a business plan at all. It was more so a hobby. My dad would do some jobs for people here and there, but it was really just a hobby, and we had fun doing it. It was what we filled our weekends up with. And then, since or moving from there, we moved up to Kansas City, and then we all those machines that we had in a shop down there, it was a 30 or I think a 30 by 60 shop. So it was a little bit of room. We kind of had
Hmm.
space to work. And then we moved up to Kansas City. We actually moved up for church, and the house we found, there was no shop on it, and we didn't really have plans to build a shop right away. So we had a 2-car garage. And so we had Huddleston. They were a machinery moving company near us. They stored everything for a little while, and then as we kind of got settled into the house, they brought everything in, and we put it all in a 2-car garage from a 30 by
Wow,
60 shop. And
Oh,
so
wow.
everything it was
it's
compact.
tight.
Oh yeah, it was like everything was laid out, and every now and then we would just move machines around trying to find a way to walk through stuff. But that's it was kind of snug in there. We just went back to the same thing, doing hobby work, and that was great. And then as I'm getting older, we started wanting to look into get a CNC mill because we hadn't done anything with CNC. It had all been manual. And so we had been just looking around, and my dad was on Practical Machinist. He found a guy that was selling a Hurco CNC mill up in Iowa, and he found out we were homeschooling. And so me and my mom went up there and looked at it, and we ended up working it out to where we got that mill. And then as we got into a CNC, we could kind of consider doing more work rather than just hobby type stuff. And That was probably back in, 2020 or so, somewhere in there. So that was still a
How
couple.
old how
Yeah,
old were
how
you at that time?
I would have been, around 14 to 15, somewhere in there.
14, oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, so I was really
Okay.
young, and I honestly had no interest in CNC whatsoever. In fact, every time I always wanted to get a nice manual lathe, the nicer one than we had. My dad was like, "Oh, you need to get a CNC. You can do so much more with it." And I'm like, I'm frankly scared of programming the thing. I have no idea how to do it, and I didn't really care to learn at the time, I guess. And now, after he got that, and we both kind of started learning on it, now I'm like, CNC is the greatest thing ever. It was so scary at the time, and we only
Mhm.
run conversational on it, and so we're not actually doing a bunch of cam right now, but just even learning conversational, it was awesome, and now I'm like, "This is great. Why would I want a manual machine when I can do all this cool stuff so
yeah.
fast and accurately?" Yeah, that was the big thing, is getting a CNC mill, and then kinda what started to lean me toward getting into having my own shop is when I turned 16, I've been trying to get a job at a machine shop down the road since I was 14, and when I was 14, I went and did a tour at this place, and they were like, "Yeah, when you turn 15, you can get hired here." So I'm like, I waited around for a whole year, turned 15, tried to get a job there, turned out I needed to be 16. I don't know what happened there. So I ended up waiting again, and,
Oh, man.
right when I turned 16, I immediately went and got a job there, and it was great. I loved it, and it was just a job shop. All I did was push buttons. Um, but I wasn't there very long, actually. I was only there, I believe, like 2 months or so when, we had someone come out to look at doing siding on our house, and my mom got to talking. It was a new small company who just did, construction stuff, and ended up getting an interview with this guy and got out of the machine shop really fast, partially because the fumes. The fumes were really bad there. So it wasn't a great environment, just worried about that a little bit. And so I've been in construction for the past 4 years. Now that I'm 20 now. So yeah, I've been doing that about 4 years. And back in 2023, 2 years into that, that's when I'm like, I wanna get back into this machining thing. And so then I ended up starting my own LLC, and I was really not pushing for work at the time. It was still people I know here and there. It was work coming in. And then in the past year, I think that's when I've started to be like, "Okay, I wanna make something out of this and start going full time at it." And I'm not there going full time yet. It's still after hours, weekend work. And so I started advertising a little bit, and I think one of the greatest stepping points that I had is we were having a little Bible study, and someone who was there, we got to talking about work and stuff, and come to find out he did line boring on heavy equipment. And so,
Mhm.
ended up getting a good connection with him, and now him and I that most of my works actually came from him. It's been heavy equipment repair. So, whether it be, a bore that came in from some loader or something like that, something he doesn't want to line bore, he doesn't really have the machine shop side of it, and so I started doing a lot of the bores for him and stuff like that that I could fit on a mill. And we've had some awesome work from him, stuff that most shops wouldn't really want, but frankly, I was interested in it all. It was fun.
Sure.
One of the coolest things we did, we had it was off of a D11 dozer. It was a big cylinder. It was the lift cylinder for the blade, and we put the whole cylinder up on our mill, and it was longer than the table. It was almost as tall as the whole machine. It maxed out every part of that machine, but it was all just to do there were some pins on there that just needed machined, and it was like, "You know what? We're not really set up for this, but frankly, it's slightly possible, and so we'll go for it." But yeah, no, working with him, that's been one of the greatest things, I think. One of the greatest stepping stones is getting work from him. And as of recent, I've started to move toward more than that. And so we've had a company out in Kansas who's shipped us a couple of jobs, and it's just been, miscellaneous job shop work. We were taking bolts and turning down the heads on them to give them a different shoulder for mounting bearings to, and so I've just
Mhm.
been doing anything. And really, it the more time goes, the more I get into it. I've tapered into it, definitely. But in these past month is where I'm trying to start really pushing for it. So I'm considering putting all my effort into it. I've been going around emailing places, calling places, seeing what shops have overflow work that they
Mhm.
don't want. Maybe it's one-off parts that they don't want to program for. It's like, I'm one person here. I don't mind taking the time to program for it, and
Sure.
it's a great learning experience. So
Wow, that is pretty cool.
So are you still in your garage?
No, okay, so that's a really key point I forgot to mention here. Glad you brought that up. So, no, about 2 years ago, we moved, ended up building a 40 by 60 shop. So, we
Okay.
had the framing and sheet metal done, but then pretty much everything else we've done on the inside, my dad and I, and my mom as well. So that's where we moved to, and that was awesome, having the space where we could actually move around in there and get stuff in there without being cramped. So, yeah, now we're out of the two-car garage, and now that's more of like an overflow thing. So, as we get a new machine, the old machine we don't use kinda just gets tucked into the garage. And so it'll never be a two-car garage again. It'll always be a storage area for machines.
Fellas, hey, well, I got you both real quick. So I'm really trying to drill in like our work holding options at Hill and all of our shops. Got any advice?
Mike, it's as simple as RASRAM.
As what?
RASRAM, you've never heard of it?
I have not.
Paul?
What Nick is referring to is the 7 habits of highly effective work holding:
That makes more sense.
repeatability, accessibility, scalability, reliability, adaptability, and modularity.
If you want to find all of these principles in one catalog, check out the SMW Autoblok catalog. You can find it at smwautoblok.com.
Thanks, fellas. What's your machine makeup look like now?
So right now we're still running that Hurco CNC mill. It's an open machine or just a bed mill, and that's our only CNC right now. I'm currently looking into getting a CNC lathe. I'm not looking for anything fancy. Just going around on Facebook. It just being able to open me up to the new range of parts that I could make with that. But yeah, so for CNC we just got that mill, and then we've got the Bridgeport like every single other shop on earth has. And then when it comes to lathes, we've got a 1340 lathe, which is, nothing fancy, and then also a 18 by 50. So on the lathe side, still running manual. That's for the general machining, and then the other kind of work we're getting into a little bit of grinding. So we got a service grinder, and then also just an OD grinder, a universal OD grinder we recently got for one of the jobs I was doing. So yeah, that's kind of the majority of our stuff. We also have other miscellaneous machines for woodworking because we also came from woodworking.
Sure.
Mhm.
So
That's awesome. I love it. That's I think that's the earliest story we've heard, Mike. Like
I
14, or
absolutely.
earlier.
Yeah.
Earlier.
Yeah. No, I can't think of anybody that's been earlier than that.
Well, I think that was all it was all definitely my dad that started it, so just growing up around it, it's like I feel like I can't quite not do it, seeing as he taught it all to me, and that's what I learned growing up, it's like, now I have to, I think,
Yeah.
so
Well, I mean, I certainly have, know and have talked to many people who grew up in a shop. Parents had a shop, but hated it. They're like,
mhm,
"Let me
Yeah.
get out of this and go do something different." And ironically, many of them come back again later.
sure,
And they're like, "Actually, the family business is pretty awesome."
right.
And they end up falling in love with machining and just doing it for their careers. But so it's not a foregone conclusion that just because your parents try to teach it to you, you're going to pick it up and run with it. So I
Right.
think it's pretty awesome,
Yeah, well,
pretty
and I did
fantastic.
kinda do a similar thing getting into construction, I didn't want to necessarily, but as I got into construction, I fell away from it a little bit, and now I'm like, "No, I'm getting back into this," so
Right? Yeah, yeah.
I'm curious beyond, like what you learned from your dad, what other educational, whether it's programs or online or, whatever have you gone through to gain that knowledge?
sure. Yeah, so I learned a little bit of that machine shop I worked at for 2 months. Frankly, at the time, I wasn't picking up a ton of it, and honestly, I wish I would've picked up more of it now. But I would say the biggest thing was YouTube by far, and I think that's a lot of the answers for people my age.
Hmm.
There's the information's so easy to access, and most all of it's free on there, and that was the most phenomenal thing. So, watching first off Titans of CNC, that's one I probably started watching maybe 4 years ago, somewhere in there. Just first because of the videos they had, their titles were taking crazy cuts on a Heller or
Right.
whatever machine it was, and I just liked watching, awesome cuts be taken, maybe stuff that isn't so realistic in some scenarios, but that's what was just cool about it. So, the Titans of CNC was a big one that kinda got me interested in it, and then we also watched ones like or this was my dad and me, when I say we watched, it turned into a family night watching YouTube videos about machining.
Love
Um,
that.
It's
so
awesome.
Edge Precision was another one. He's got that, I think it's a Mazak Integrex, I think is what he's got, and so he does a lot of big parts like that, and they're just really, really cool stuff, and his videos have a lot of information about what he's actually doing and not necessarily just a video of what he's doing, but he's actually teaching you how to do it. There's been a ton of YouTube videos from several other other people on YouTube. I know A-Bomb79, that's one I think most people have heard of. Of course, he was more on the manual side of things until recently, but that was also another great person to learn from.
What an awesome resource. It really is.
It
It's just
is.
changing the game and how approachable other things are. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Now, you said you've been homeschooled.
Mhm,
So, did uh, the machine that you found
mhm.
up in, you said Iowa
Yes,
or
sir.
what it was?
Yep.
Yeah. So, was there anything formal with the manufacturing side that sort of went to your homeschooling? And 'cause I think most homeschooling still sort of ties in with with a credentialing of the state or whatever like that. So, were you doing like machining work or manufacturing as part of that?
So, I will definitely in a way, but I wouldn't say it was, like, intentionally put in as part of the curriculum. Frankly, a lot of the homeschooling we did was not it wasn't super, like, set up, I should say, and so, we would go through school each day, but it wasn't, like, a super consistent thing, and so, basically, a lot of the times I wasn't doing school, and so then I would be out in the shop learning, and
Okay.
so, you could say it tied into homeschooling. If I had not been homeschooled, I would have had no chance of learning a lot of it. I mean, I wouldn't have had near as much time. So,
Hmm.
homeschooling was a big part of it, and I would consider it part of my homeschooling, but it was not, like, directly tied into getting credits or whatever it may be.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Well, you're very well spoken. So, good job to your teachers and parents.
Oh, that'd be my mom. That'd be my mom.
Yeah. Yeah. Kudos to her. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, he said earlier that his mom's the talker, but I think
she's
he
picked up the gift of gab.
I'm
yeah,
competing for second now.
yeah. I don't think she did too bad teaching you speech.
So, when you said that you started to do some advertising,
Mhm.
tell us about that. Like, how does someone that has a machine in their garage or at home and they want to start looking for some work elsewhere? How did you start doing that?
Sure. So, a lot of it, believe it or not, came from my mom talking just around, like, neighbors, and that was, like, the little stuff. That was like, "Hey, I need this log splitter work done because we also do fabrication, and so I'd weld up on something that was broken for a neighbor, and so that was just little stuff that would trickle in. But then the recent thing I've been trying to do for advertising, I did a little bit of the paid ads on, like, Facebook and Instagram, but frankly, I didn't put enough effort into or not enough effort necessarily. I didn't put enough money into that to, I think, really see much of a return on that. So I kinda got away from that, and maybe I'll come back to it at some point and see what the results are at that time. But, one of the things I did was post in just a manual machinist group on Facebook. And
Mhm.
from there, a purchasing person at that company out in Kansas randomly picked me up, my information, sent me an email, and at first I thought it was spam. Honestly, I didn't really believe it because they were having me sign an NDA, and I'm like, I have trouble believing this. I just wasn't expecting it, and it
Sure.
turned out to be totally real. And so, just advertising on the Facebook group was awesome. And then also, where I'm working now in construction and in cabinets and everything, I know a bunch of people through that. And so just being able to talk to those people, even though they aren't necessarily in manufacturing in any way or any sort of fabrication type work, talking to them, they need something done. And it was just word of mouth, and I'll get some stuff from them.
Mhm.
Have you explored any of the job boards like a Xometry or anything like that?
So vaguely, let's see, what was I was looking at one recently actually. I forgot the name of it. But I've not looked at Xometry specifically. Man, I'm actually kind of bummed I can't remember the name of the other one now. But I've looked at them and I haven't got into them necessarily. I just kinda went through. I'm like, "Okay, there is access to all these parts." And frankly, right now, I'm not, like, fully booked out on weekends and after hours work. And so I've wondered if I should just get on those and see about quoting off of those. I figure they're kinda the bottom feeder stuff is what I've heard, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm
Mhm.
one person here. If it's work and it's paying, I can probably do it for cheaper than the other people just because of very low overhead.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked at them. I mean, they don't fit with, like, what I'm doing
Sure.
necessarily, although we have done a few jobs on there. I mean, it probably 5 years ago, but,
Mhm.
um, I think I mean, does give you visibility to stuff that you're not seeing otherwise. I mean, I think it's probably worth paying attention
Mhm.
to.
Yeah, and
Um,
actually, now that we talk about that, I probably should look into it more and just see. I don't really have anything to lose right now. It's
yeah.
not like I'm gonna lose anything by bidding on some of them, and if I win, great. If I don't, you know what? Awesome.
You know how we looked at it, so I wanna say probably the last time we did anything through there was in 2020, and, um, COVID hit us pretty drastically. We were down
Mhm.
60% in revenue, and
Oh, wow.
so I was sitting, on any given day with 30 machines not running,
Oh,
um,
Oof, so
and,
rough.
um, so it was easy just to, like, I would say, it certainly didn't hit our margins we were targeting or anything like that, but it kept spindles turning, which then created cash flow, which then creates, being able to make payroll or whatever. So
right.
Hmm.
we
Yep,
didn't
at
do
least gets you covered for that time.
yeah. We didn't do a lot of jobs. I'd say maybe a half dozen at the most. But um yeah, it's worth a look.
Yeah, I think as much as anything, it's also just a great learning experience.
It is.
If you don't need to really make a profit on those things, like,
Right.
you don't have a bunch of machine payments to cover or rent or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, different materials, do some stuff in stainless or aluminum or who knows what. And, maybe it's a way to start getting into some CAM programming a little bit, if you have geometries that you can't do on the conversational
Mhm.
and just sort of a stepping stone to having more experience that you could then take to, better paying jobs with real customers that you work with directly.
Right, absolutely. Definitely gotta learn somewhere, so yeah, that I think that would be a great opportunity, and I think I should look into that a little bit more, definitely.
Leighton, I along that same lines, it kind of brings me to the next question. I'm curious, so at this stage where you're at, how do you decide how you're gonna price a job?
So, right now, I'm just looking at the part and most of the time, they're very basic parts, and so there's not a ton of stuff I really need to account for necessarily. So, if they're shipping me the parts, obviously, I don't have to worry about material costs, but if they aren't, then, material costs, figure out whatever that is. And then when it comes to quoting it, I just honestly, a lot of times look at it, I'm like, "How long is this gonna take me to go out there, program, make? What am I gonna have in this?" And it's not like the most scientific way of doing it right now. At some point, I think I will try to find a better way to actually be consistent with it. But oddly enough, all the jobs I've quoted have ended up I guess I'm just getting lucky, but they've all ended up coming in right where I quoted them or at least very close. I'm like,
Good.
mainly because 'cause they're simple, and it's like I kinda just go through my plan and what I'm gonna do when I get out there to try to make the part and it just works out good right now. But I think one of the things people use for quoting, they go through CAM a lot of times, right, and make their tool paths and figure out what their machine
Hmm.
time will be. And I think that's something I'll move into looking at as I get into a machine that'll run CAM. I will say because the CAM I have looked at, or like I use Inventor as my main modeling software, and so I've been trying some Inventor CAM just to kind of learn. And
Hmm.
I got like our machine, it does take G code, but it with the complexity of it, it's too old to really take it in at a good speed, and it gets all jumpy and stuff, and so it doesn't run it good.
No.
But I've been wanting to learn the cam side of it anyway a little bit, and so I vaguely use that, but I think at some point it probably would be something I would do to model the part, figure out my tool paths, figure out how long it's gonna take, and really get a more accurate time on and what it's really gonna take.
Yeah, that probably starts to matter more as your quantity goes up.
Sure.
If you're making 2, 3 pieces, it's just like, how many total hours is this gonna take? Is
Right.
this a 5-hour job or a 20-hour job? And
Yep.
as whether the machine, the blend between setup time, programming time, and actual cutting time is just kind of all in one big lump, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, once you start quoting 500 parts, 1,000 parts, even 100 parts,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, this has 30 minutes of machine time
Right.
approximately. The difference between 25 and 35 or 40, that can add up to many hours of total time difference.
Yeah, for
Oh,
So,
yeah.
sure.
yeah,
Absolutely.
getting more scientific there. I was going to say Toolpath could be a good good
Yeah.
first step for them. That
Yeah, that's what
does
I
sort
was
of
thinking is
toolpath and estimating calculations all built in with an AI tool. You got to have the model to start with, but
Sure.
as you start to well, I'm sure on Xometry you can get the models, of course, but even
Mhm.
as you start working with more direct customers, them providing you the step file or the 3D CAD model to quote with along with the drawing is pretty commonplace.
So what's this tool paths you mentioned? Or, like, is this like a software?
It is, yeah. Is it toolpath.com? I'm not even sure what their website
I don't
is.
remember what the website is. We use it. So yeah, Leighton, it's an AI tool, and you
Mhm.
drop a model in there, and quite frankly, in a matter of seconds, really, it basically generates its own G code. It gives you, we think this is going to be 2 or 3 operations. We think that each operation will take this long. And oh, by the way, here's the G code. So
Hmm.
yeah, so from that you can, you can get to a quote pretty quick. It doesn't currently have lathe capabilities, so I know they're working on that, and I think it'll be out this year. But um, most of my work involves a lathe, so we don't get to use it a lot. But
Sure.
yeah, we double check ourselves a lot with it to, if it is a mill part, we'll drop a model in there, or if it's, like when we do our quoting, if it's kind of to Paul's point, if it's like really high quantity, or if it's something we know is going to be super competitive, like we do want to look at that. We do want to get Toolpaths to it, right? Whether by brand or by function, we want to get Toolpaths applied to it and see exactly what we think it's going to take to run the
Sure.
part. Um, and I mean, it's a good path towards that for sure. It's
Hmm.
my team really likes it. They use it quite a bit.
I'll definitely have to check that out. Is that like something where you take your machine information, like horsepower and feed rates and that kind of thing, and it'll kind of fine tune a little bit to your machine to get in the ballpark of what you're capable of?
Yeah, essentially. So it knows the tools you own, and it knows the equipment, and yeah, so it'll use AI to take those things. And I mean, the first thing it does is looks and says, "Can you even make this part?" Right?
Mhm.
Do you have the right equipment and tools and so forth to even make it? And if you
Sure.
don't, if 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 it determines that you can't, it'll show you why, right? Like, well,
Mhm.
because you're missing this one tool, or you're, whatever. And then what's the cost of that tool, is actually even loaded in there. And then, if you can make it, it flushes it out pretty quick.
That's pretty
Yeah,
slick. Y'all definitely have to check that out.
yeah, you ought to. I mean, not to turn this into a Toolpath episode, but
Nah, love
um,
it.
they actually right now, I know, because I was actually just talking with their CEO Al
Mhm.
Whatmo last night. Um, they're in the middle right now of a $90 for 90 days
Yeah, I just
promotion.
saw that on their website.
So it's
Now, do you need to have Fusion or can it stand alone?
I think it'll stand I mean, you need it for Fusion to end up, like, posting out to your machine and stuff.
Mhm.
Right. Okay.
Um, but I think for the purposes of I think it can stand alone. I don't know. Now I'm in
Right.
territory I'm gonna get myself in trouble, but,
Well, and
um
that's not even in the world. I mean, I use Fusion a little bit. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but if that's something I need to at least throw this part into and just start practicing with it and learning about it,
well,
that still works
Yeah.
great.
and that's what I was gonna say too. I mean, like, even that $90 90 day, like, let me start playing with this, and you don't have that CAM experience. What's nice is it's gonna get you started,
Mhm.
so, like, when we do use it, and I know Toolpath will even often just say this, it's like, they don't want you to just let the AI tool program the part and then go hit the green button to start it.
Sure.
They they say, "Hey, we get you 80% there, but you need to go look at it. You need to look at how we did it. You need to agree that we did it in a way that, you wanna run it."
Yeah.
And so that even there could give you a great start at kinda learning that side, um, how how'd they handle the easy stuff, right? And then you can
Right.
worry about the other stuff.
Absolutely. Well, is this, any sort of, like, similarity to, I think, Cloud NC maybe is I
Yeah,
know.
so they're the same thing. I mean,
Okay.
they're the 2 leaders in the market right now for sure.
Okay. So just AI cam platforms then.
Yeah. Yeah, so you've probably
So,
seen some of that on, Titan's videos and so
Yep,
forth.
I've just seen a couple of those. I'm like,
Yeah,
that's pretty wild what it can do. I didn't even
yeah,
know there was another software doing that right now.
yeah, so those are the 2 kinda going head to head right now in the market.
hey, it's Paul from Making Chips. If you've been burned by recruiters who don't understand manufacturing, you are not alone. That's exactly why we created Hire MFG Leaders. We're not just recruiters, we're current and former shop owners, and we know what it takes to lead in this industry. Whether you're hiring your next operations leader, sales manager, or production supervisor, we'll help you find someone who actually fits. Learn more at makingchips.com/hire. Yeah, do you ski, Leighton?
I do not ski.
Okay.
Do you want to?
Yeah. Do you want?
Nah, you know,
We're joking. Toolpath is having it's called the Summit on the Summit in
okay.
April. And so, how many people? 400 people are
Yeah, I think it's up
converging
to
on
400 now.
Mammoth Mountain in California for like this skiing and machining summit. It's gonna be pretty awesome.
We'll both be there, so it'll be great.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, don't tell my mom. She'll be all over that. She's like, "Skiing? I'll go. I don't even care. I'll be there."
Yeah, it's like gonna be skiing in the morning and then like,
Yeah,
ed
sessions and groups
sessions and
and
educational
panels and
stuff and
And most importantly, when's lunch? That's what we
yeah,
gotta know.
right.
oh, there'll be plenty of food. I'm
I'm
sure of it.
I'm s
You sound like my son who's he's like, "Where's the food? I
Yep,
need to eat
that's what
now."
I'm here for. I don't know what all these people are here for, but I saw the food.
That's awesome.
That's funny.
So I'm curious, when you first created your LLC,
Mhm.
was it it must have been with the idea that you were going to take on some real revenue generating work. And along with that, did you do any kind of basic business planning of like, all right, here's how much it might cost us to get all the machines and tools and vices and things, and
Mhm.
yeah, just share a little bit about some of that planning you might have done.
Well, and so that this is probably a point where I did not do stuff right because I did not plan much at all. I think it was one Friday night. I was like, "Okay, I got the weekend." I'm like, "I'm gonna make an LLC." And by the end of that Friday night, my LLC was done. And so it was a very rushed decision to at least the part of just making the LLC. That was
That's
kind
all
of the
good.
point when I
Yeah.
was like, "This is where I'm going this direction." It was kind of just the first thing to do, even though that was like the easiest part of it. Um, but no, I didn't have to do much planning, mainly because everything that I really need to make parts right now was already in the garage. And so I can thank my dad for that. As I've started to do jobs, I'll get new tooling and this and that with the job. But for the most part, I really didn't have a lot of financial planning to worry about anyway, which honestly made it great. I know a lot of people wouldn't have that opportunity, and I'm really lucky to have that opportunity. So no, it's kind of one of those things. If I don't have something that I need for a job, I'll try to get the job to where it can pay for it, to where I'm not losing money if I don't know I'm going to use it again, whether it be a random type of tool that I just didn't have that I don't ever intend on using again.
Hmm.
But no, I didn't have to worry about machine cost, vices, none of that. It was all ready for me. So kind of got a lucky start to it.
Yeah. And as you think about maybe getting a lathe or adding more equipment, is there any kind of ROI analysis of like I need to quote this kind of hourly rate and get this many hours per month or any of that kind of stuff?
Sure. Yeah. So as of now, I do have an hourly rate that I do try to go off of, and since I'm not working like a consistent amount of time on it per se per week, it's not like a super accurate thing to go off of. So I do know as I would look into finding a lathe where I'm actually going to be dumping more money into this that I haven't had to yet, I'd be like, okay, what jobs are coming in? How long is it going to take me to make the return on this, and what's going to make this worth it to me? And so that's something here in the next, honestly, couple of weeks I'm probably going to be looking into and actually figuring out what does this gain me through the year? Because I really have not looked at it. It's like I've been doing this for fun, and it's been great, and more work's been coming in, and I see the outcome of it. It's like, this is awesome, but it's not super well put together. And honestly, tax season's kind of what made it visible to me. It's like, okay, you kinda see how you did in the year. And so I need to have that put together throughout the year and really see what this is doing for me and where I can go with it.
Do you have along that lines, do you have a goal or a vision of when this becomes full-time?
I I do. I'm honestly hoping in the next year is kinda my goal, and that could be sooner. I don't imagine it being a whole lot further than that. The guy that, I've been doing heavy equipment work with, he's actually doing a pretty big move for him right now. He's going into a shop that he's gonna start, renting out, and he's getting into a lot bigger work, a lot more, hydraulics work, and anyway, other kinds of work that's gonna open up more opportunities to him, and something he's actually trying to do is get me on board with going in on the shop, and so it's 10,000 square feet, and for us, that's enough to where we could split this into to 2 shops, and so that's something we're currently talking about, is going into a bigger shop and kinda making it more intentional, having more room, and like, as of now, I'm not necessarily ready to take that step. Maybe in the next couple months, depending on what work comes up from trying to advertise more. Maybe I'm like, okay, it's hard to support that out of a small shop now. I can go in on this with him and go get some machines in there and really start getting into a more serious level of it. And I don't know where that's gonna go yet. It's a great opportunity, I think. I don't know what it's gonna lead to. I do know he's gonna even try to advertise for me. It's a highway frontage building, and so that may be worth something, hopefully get some advertising out on the highway. And
Mhm.
so in today's day and age, I feel like online is a huge part of advertisement, but also, maybe when it comes to the repair type work, not necessarily the production work from people driving by, it's like, hey, farmers nearby got something
Yeah.
broken. Maybe that's what'll bring me some work as well.
Hmm. Do you feel like with increasing rent and buying a lathe, whatnot, like do you feel like you're getting to the place where the business could be self-sufficient financially, like you're generating enough revenue off of jobs and you're saving that to go into this thing, or is it still like commingled with your parents helping out and that sort of thing?
So as of now, definitely still parents helping out, and it's something like where I could quit my full time job, and it would be enough to have no problem getting by on. It wouldn't be like a great business by any means, but personally it would be fine.
Mm-hmm.
So as at this current stage, going into if I were to get a machine, finance it, whatever it may be, go in on rent, it would not be the best move, but frankly, it's really close, and it's one of those things where, like, if I have 8 more hours of work a week that I can bid or quote, that's most of what I need to get to that
Mm-hmm.
point. So I'm kinda on that stepping stone where it's like it's
Yeah.
fun right now, but if I get past this, I can start really getting at it.
Yeah, you probably are pretty close then. I mean, in 8 hours could be one more job,
Right,
right? I mean,
absolutely.
that shouldn't be a massive leap.
Yep, no,
Yeah,
not at
we'll
all,
see.
and
We'll see what comes out of the woodwork after this episode releases.
Yeah.
yeah,
There might be people near you that need
that'd be
some work
awesome.
done.
Well, and it's like at the current starting stages of business, I think this goes for manufacturing and really any type of work. It's like you're taking on anything unless you just, I don't know, had a great setup for whatever you were trying to do specifically. But it's like right now, I'll do any kind of work. I'm
Hmm.
happy to do it, and it's all every bit of different work is also a great learning experience. But whatever it takes to get that work coming in, and then as I have more coming in and I can turn stuff down where it's like, "Hey, this isn't gonna be efficient for me to do. There's other people that can do this more efficiently than I can." Then maybe I start tuning in on the kinda work I do.
Yeah, well, you'll know where the demand is, right? I mean, if you
Right.
start turning down a whole bunch of a specific type of work that's coming to you, now
Mhm.
you start to know maybe what that lathe needs to look like or what that
Sure.
next mill needs to look like.
Yep, what's gonna
And
give me the capabilities to not turn down the work.
yeah, and I think another interesting thing you talked about that, I mean, we don't talk about at all anymore is like the walk-in repair work.
Mhm.
Um, it's kind of interesting. Like in our market, we get phone calls and walk-ins pretty regularly. I mean, regularly as in 2 to 4 times a week, maybe,
Hmm.
of the farmer that needs this thing repaired, or
Mhm.
somebody's restoring a 1968 Jaguar and needs this, some sort of part, a hole opened up, a broken bolt removed, something like that. And
Mhm.
it's, they start calling around machine shops, and I guess locally, we're about the only ones that still have a full conventional machine shop. And so the other machine shops will say, "Oh, call Hill. I think they could probably still help you."
Sure.
Hmm.
And we get a fair amount of that work in. And what's really been interesting, so one, lots of times you get to work on something kind of fun and cool that, is you don't see anymore, right? Like,
Absolutely.
I remember a couple years ago, we basically helped rebuild a entire like pump jack off of an oil well from like 1908.
Oh, wow.
And there
Okay.
was and the guy had bought the land, the pump was sitting not running, and he just dug in himself trying to get the thing working again. And he brought us a bunch of parts. We remade a few, we reworked a few, and now he's pulling a half a barrel a day off his land or something just by itself. But um, we've worked. I use like the 1968 Jaguar example, whatever. So you see stuff that otherwise you'd never see. But I will also tell you, and this might play to your advantage. We've had more than probably at least once a year, one of those walk-ins. They are a big local company,
Mhm.
or they work at a big local company that
Hmm.
says, "Oh, you guys have a big shop here, like, could I send you some other stuff to look at? And, it
Sure.
turns into some sort of repeat, production type work with their company. So yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
keep that going because it's kind of a little bit of I guess it's, pretty dying to have that capability to
Yeah.
weld this up, turn it back down, like all the things you're talking about.
Yeah, just give them a
Um,
finished part back that they don't have to do
yeah,
anything else with.
yeah, that could turn it. You don't know who's going to bring that part in, looking for some assistance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I had a story on Machine Shop Mastery several months ago or earlier last year that yeah, a guy had a little storefront machine shop right on Main Street of his little town, and someone came in for like it might have been a car part or it might have been like getting his ski
It's a
bindings
lot of
fixed or
car parts.
something.
okay.
Yeah, but this engineer guy person that came through, like, he worked at a big aerospace company, and that turned into ultimately millions of dollars of work for
Yeah.
years and years to come, just from that personal relationship and
Yep.
Yeah.
getting to know somebody and being friendly and on the spot professional, and yeah, that can go a long way. You
Yep.
never know where the work comes from.
Well, I think that's one of the things Titan talks a lot about is like relationship with customers. And, of course, you can start the relationship in any way, like you guys have been saying. It doesn't have to be from exactly what you're trying to do, but just like having these people that you know that they're going to go to you because you've given them the best service and they're just happy with what you do.
Right.
hmm Yeah, I just recorded an episode of Manufacturing Transform this morning, and my guest who bought his shop in 2017 was not in the market to even buy a shop, but someone from his church said, "Hey, I know of a machine shop or a fab and machine shop that's for
Hmm.
sale. Curious to look at it?" And he's like, "Well, sure, I'll take a peek." And he went and looked and just kind of decided to go all in. And now 9 years later, has a thriving shop. And
That's awesome.
That's
but
cool.
it was just through a relationship at his church. Was
Yeah.
so yeah, you never know. In manufacturing, growth isn't accidental, it's engineered. But a lot of suppliers are still building their pipeline on outdated lists, inconsistent follow up, and hope based marketing, hoping their website will somehow bring in leads. Gabe Draper, the founder of Factor, knows that struggle. Years ago, he ran a shop that went bankrupt, not because of quality, but because he didn't have a steady way to generate new opportunities. That experience is what led him to build Factor. Factor helps suppliers create consistent sales opportunities by combining targeted outreach with marketing that puts you in front of the right buyers. Their team finds the right companies, starts real conversations, and sets qualified meetings. So if your pipeline swings with referrals or seasonality, Factor brings a system that puts you back in control. And for listeners of this show, Factor is offering a free custom report that highlights the best opportunities in your industry, plus a list of real companies that match what you do. Request yours at factormfg.com/chips. That's FACTUR mfg.com/chips. You're obviously, early in your journey here, but
Hmm.
if someone was listening to you that was 14 years old, back when you started getting interested in not just doing some woodworking, but maybe some metalworking, and
Hmm.
wanted to learn about how this business works, how machining works, what are the other skill sets you need to, make a go of this, what would you say to that person?
Yeah, so I think, well, again, one of the biggest things is to learn from YouTube. It's a go-to source, but I also think one of the other things, if you're turning around the 16 age where you can, start getting a job at places, go into another machine shop and putting some effort into being there. Maybe not just going there. You're going to be pushing buttons for a while, most likely. But finding the people there that they're actually going to want to teach you. Because like the shop I worked at, I will say there was a lot of people, they did not care. They were just there. But there were also some people who were like, "Hey, this is this, and I'm going to teach you this." And I think that was awesome. Just being around those great mentors. And so going to another shop, whatever type of shop it may be, whatever, big, small machine shop, I think you can learn a ton from that just to kind of get you in the area. But I think YouTube is huge. Like I've said, just pay attention to it. Don't just glance over stuff. If you actually intentionally go out and try to learn about it, it's 100% there for you. And I had a really really lucky startup, like I said, and so I didn't have a ton to worry about. And a lot of people I know probably would not have the best setup for that, but I think you make the relationships at that machine shop with even some of the people there, and maybe some work comes from that to where you can maybe on the weekends, start on the weekends, if you can go find a small CNC machine, used, finance it, whatever it may be, and you can start taking on some parts from them and some potential there and then grow into it.
Great advice. I
Very good
like it.
advice. What when you look forward 5 to 10 years, what's your shop look like to you?
Yeah. So I'm not shooting for anything big right now. I know a lot of people say that and then tend to go or end up growing tremendously, but that's not necessarily my huge goal. I'd like to have a couple of people. I think at some point for the next couple years, I pretty much intend on it being just me, and a lot of that is because of the work I'm doing right now is not necessarily like there's other people who are older who absolutely have all the knowledge and they can do all this stuff insanely well. But I would like to hire someone who was younger, I think, for a long term thing and be able to help teach them. But I guess where I'm going with that is right now it's difficult with the work I'm doing because it's like repair work and it's like, okay, you need someone who can weld, who can machine, and who can kinda do the whole process if I were to take someone on. So I think down the road, one of my goals I wanna do is get into, like, aerospace work potentially. And so I'm kinda looking into the AS9100 thing and kinda leaning toward that and seeing what may come of that. But I think one of the advantages I'm going for there is having a consistent batch of parts rather than the work I'm doing because then you can hire someone, I guess, with less skill in the other things that aren't really typical machine shop work, where they can learn on that machine, and maybe they start just, running the program for you while you're maybe programming another machine. And so I think as I get into more production work, I wanna maybe looking to hire someone in the next 2 to 3 years, and then from there, if there's enough, hire more people and get into work where you can reasonably hire someone. And I guess after the people who are there for a while, they've been pushing buttons and they've learned it, they're gonna be able to take care of everything too, and then maybe you can get back into the more one-off type of work where you have someone who can just program that whole part and get it done. Because I know at some point I'm gonna be running out of time. It seems like every person who starts a business, they have all the time in the world, and then suddenly they have 1 hour to actually work a day, and the rest of their day is totally gone.
That is a
That happens.
very true. That is a very true thing. It's wise of you to recognize that even before it starts happening.
Fixing to have 30 minutes of sleep and 22 hours of doing I don't know what and 1 hour to actually accomplish anything.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too funny. Um, yeah, I was just actually on your website. It's a nice website. Did you build it yourself or?
Well, you're not gonna believe this, my mom was involved.
Oh,
So,
what do you know? You have the
yep.
best supporters.
Oh, I
Amazing.
really I've had it too good probably. But yeah, no, my mom, she put a lot of that together, and then I've kinda went in and tweaked some things as well, and we've kinda just looked it over and been like, "Hey, this is some stuff that'd be cool to go on there." So it's not like a really super well put together website, but we just try to, put some of the work we've done on there, and so people can see what we're interested in,
Hmm.
and just to help get information out there and, have something for people who look you up on Google to hopefully maybe pop up on.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You should. I don't know if do you have a Google Maps profile
So
yet?
I actually recently did that about 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, something like
Okay.
that. I put together a Google profile and then, contacted a couple people I've done work for and just try to get a
To give
couple
you
reviews on
reviews.
that right, so I don't look like just this random scam that's on Google. Um, so tried to put a little effort into that, and I've looked like I said earlier, I'd looked into advertising a little bit on Google, but
Hmm.
hadn't gone too far with that yet, but at least looking legitimate I
Yeah,
think is gonna go a long way for even if you just talk to someone, you're like, "Hey, this is the company." You don't have a website or no Google, it's like they're gonna be like, "What is this place?"
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm on your website now. Why don't you tell everybody what your website is?
well, yep, so it's, hill-co.us is the name of the website, and like I said earlier, we're located out of Kansas City, Missouri area, but we've also done shipping jobs and stuff like that. But yeah, on the website, you can go through, we got some pictures of different work we've done from hydraulic cylinders to who knows what part. So it's been totally random, but welcome to go, check it out and see what we got there.
Yeah.
Hmm. Awesome. I love it. Well, I think we should, Mike. I think we should stay in touch with Leighton and see what this thing grows into because I have
Yeah.
a feeling when he decides to go full time and really put his mind to it. Watch out, world.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he's got the right stuff to get this done.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely had an awesome startup opportunity, and hopefully I can take it from there and see what it leads to.
Leighton, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
I would say phone number or email, and if you go to the website again, I got both of them on there. You can contact me, give me a call anytime, and see what we can help out with.
Excellent.
I like it. I like it. All right. Well, let's see here. I should have thought about this 10 minutes ago. I know we don't have Nick here to lean on. Well, how about this as a good one? If you don't have really supportive parents to help you learn about machining, go find a machine, build your website, bring you some business, then you're not making chips.
If you're not making chips,
You're not making money.
bam.
Bam.
If you're not making chips, you're not making any money. If you're not making chips, you're not making any money.
If you're not making chips, you're not making money. Bam! If you're not making chips, you're not making money. Making money. Bam! Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not making chips, you're not money. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not making chips, you're not
Making money, not making money.